Hi, today's video, of course, focusing on the Forex market, taking a look at the dollar yen, euro dollar, pound dollar, and Aussie. First of all, though, be aware that this video is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact an appropriate entity. Also, please be aware of this risk disclaimer. Please pause the video to read the entire risk disclaimer. By continuing watching this video, you agree with this risk disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, let's start with the euro dollar. Looking at the weekly chart, we see that price is continuing with the downtrend here. We, of course, had good momentum here. We had a large correction here, but price recently did start a new downtrend. Was this a pullback within that new downtrend, or will that just be a bigger correction yet again and go back to resistance? That is the main question. The red or blue arrow, what do we expect? For me, the main level is 105. 105 is this low, 104, 105 indeed, the low of last week. The bottom's in here as well. So for me, a push below 105 is probably going to signal a downtrend continuation. Then we're breaking through a lot of bottoms, and I think in that case, it's a good chance that this was a break, pullback, and continue. Until price breaks 105, I think there's a chance on a daily chart to see some more correction. There is a weekly pivot point, price is right at it, and I think that there could be a bounce back to R1 or R2 before we get that pushed below 105 and a continuation of the downtrend. First of all, just to retest the bottom here at 103.50, and then perhaps a break below 103.50, of course, a follow through to lower levels like 102.50 and perhaps parity. So from a 4-hour perspective, what I'm looking for is a zigzag, is an upside correction. Let me move the mini terminal, part of the MP4 Supreme Edition that Admiral Markets offers 60 plus features extra besides the usual MT4 features. And you see that from my perspective, a bounce here at the 50 fib up to the minus 61.8 target in R2, I think is the most likely at this spot. But price could dip down to the 61.8 or even the 78.6 fib and still use that as a bouncing spot. Now, if it does dip that low, I would be looking for candlestick patterns as a confirmation that price is bouncing at one of these three fibs, the 61.8, 78, or 88.6 fib. Or if it breaks, I would say above 106, then I think that there's a good chance that there's breakout territory for price to move up to 107 and perhaps there 107 or 107.50 to find resistance and a bearish bounce back down. What I would be looking for in a breakout like that, when it breaks above 106, is for price on the lower time frame to show some kind of bull flag. That flag, that chart pattern right there, signals to me that the selling pressure is low. That means that there's momentum to the upside. There is a corrective pattern sideways, and then in that case, there's a good chance of continuation higher. So that's what I'll be looking for. Of course, if price breaks through my invalidation level, this bottom, then as I said, then I think that there's a good chance of a follow through lower. I would be looking on 1 4-hour charts for break, consolidation, and continuation to the downside. More on the euro dollar with Nennet tonight on Mondays, his weekly recap, of course, as always. I myself will take a look at the euro dollar and others tomorrow with price action and pattern webinar. Wednesday is strategy focus, looking at fibs and waves, the last part. Make sure not to miss that one. And also a live trading session with Nennet on Wednesday. Thursday, we take a look at trading psychology. So I hope to see you in all of these webinars. All right, the pound dollar, looking at the 1-hour chart on purpose because I wanted to show you the strong bearish momentum that arrived on Friday. Now, I was looking for a bull flag and a break to the upside, but that bull flag never appeared. So that's one of the things that is good to wait for more confirmation sometimes with price action. It didn't give it to me, and in fact, it had a tremendous fall here, as you can see. So from my perspective, this is 5 waves, and I think therefore there is a good chance that there will be an ABC correction and then hence another continuation lower. Now, whether this is the end of wave 5 or whether price can make one more lower low and then make the bounce, that is something that remains to be seen. But whatever the low point is, I'll put the fib from top to bottom, and I'm looking for price to retrace back to the 50 or 61.8. At the 50, there is a weekly pivot point, so there's a good confluence there. That could be a strong resistance around 125 I think could be now a bouncing spot for downside. That's what I'm looking for, basically, a short in that zone for this week for a move down to the S2, weekly S2 pivot point and a minus 61.8 target around 122.50, 123. I think that is basically roughly the trade of this week on the pound. Now, could it go slightly higher than that pivot point and hit maybe a deeper fib? It's possible too. The pound likes to do that. So I'll keep an eye on both zones, 125 and 124, 125.50. So as long as price stays below this top, I am bearish still. The triangle eventually broke to the upside, but it didn't hold. It made a decent break there, don't get me wrong. And there was a good 100, 150 pip move there, but it didn't hold. It didn't hold the gain. Instead, it just collapsed. So from this perspective, I think a correction like this ended with a triangle in the middle. And I think from that point of view, this was a correction. There's momentum here. Therefore, I think there's a good chance of follow through to the downside after though a retracement, right? I think a retracement is likely because if you look at the overall picture, it's quite flattish. And price, in that case, has difficulties to escape the moving average. And you can see that even here, that it fell back to the moving average. Every time it's moving back to the moving average. Look how many times it has done that. If you look at the long-term moving average, look how many times price has moved back to that moving average. That's why I think that one more time doing that is not so strange, and it could easily happen. Now, if I'm wrong and price were to break below the bottom here, I'm still not jumping for joy because of the fact that the Kellner is there and the S1 is there. I think it could be a small break of the low and then still make a retracement. So for me to be really confident of a breakout, I think I would need to see a strong candle, 4-hour candle, with a close near the low, with a close below 123.90, and a pretty sizable candle, at least 50 pips, probably even rather 70 pips. Then that could be a decent breakout candle, and I might consider a short upon a retracement with a stop loss below that high, looking for a continuation down to 123. But I need to see, good evidence there. Otherwise, I think a retracement is more likely. The dollar yen is a very interesting spot from my point of view because let me zoom out here to the 4-hour chart. I think it's more appropriate because if you look at, from my point of view, the 5-wave pattern here and the pretty clear ABC zigzag, I think that's a pretty classical one, a pretty straightforward one. If we put a fib from top to the end of the wave A like this, right? You can see price went to the 50 fib and hit the minus 272 target. So pretty standard and neat, right? And I think that the 88.6 fib could be the bouncing spot. And well, if it isn't, the invalidation level is at the bottom, which is 111.59. So a stop loss just below that. An entry right here, I think, is a small risk compared to potential reward. Way up here, I think, up even higher. So there is quite a large reward potential, even if it only goes up to the challenge, the R2. That's still a large reward and a relatively small risk. So I like that long potential, even right here. As long as price stays in this area, I think that's a good reward to risk. Even if it moves away from it, it still could be good. For instance, if there's a good momentum like this, and then a bull flag, a continuation, I think that there's space for upside. Now at this moment, there's a small inverted head and shoulders like that. So there is a lot of resistance above it, don't get me wrong. Pivot point, bottoms, tops. So price could maybe start slow with its upside. But I think that considering the 4-hour structure, that this is the moment that it will start that upside and start to go, retest pivot point in the R1, then the R2, perhaps the R3, and next week, or next month, I should say, even further. As long as price doesn't break this bottom, my bullish analysis, I think, is valid, and this ABC is probably finished, and we have 5 waves here, so I'd expect another 5 waves to the upside. So I'm bullish on the dollar yen. And looking for entries basically either here or upon further upside bull flags and chart pattern continuations. USD is a mixed bag in my view. I mean, I was looking for on the daily chart, looking for a pin bar here in this resistance zone. I took that, but price didn't go anywhere, so got break even on that because it moved up again and then down again. So it looks like it doesn't want to go down, doesn't want to go up. I don't know what it wants, but it is going sideways at the moment. And I think that as long as price stays within that range, let's use horizontal levels, these green levels for that, it might just go sideways. So the sideways zone is pretty small as well. I mean, just a couple of pips difference really. What is it? 75. So I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of trading it at the moment. I think a breakout of this zone might be something to keep an eye on. Maybe if it makes an ABC zigzag like this, to look for a bounce back at R1 again, back down. Could be something to think about. But not a big fan considering the choppiness at this point. Alright, for more analytics and the MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition, of course, check out admiralmarkets.com for all of that, all the webinars, etc. You can find all of that good info right there. Wish you good trading. Talk to you soon. Cheers.